Hey everyone, I'm Hao at Sidewalk Express. Joining me here today, we have a legend. Something wrong?
Call and Phoong.
Yay! I have to admit something. It's kind of sad, but I feel like I've seen you more than some of my friends.
Oh my goodness. Well, hi. Love you. Hugs.
Do you even know how many Billboard you have now?
No. If I had to count, it's definitely over 150, 200.
Is it like spread out across Cali?
Yeah.
Wow.
North to the south now.
Wow.
And then next door to Nevada starting next year.
If you don't mind me asking, like, how much do you spend on all the Billboard?
Last time I checked and I was asked this a few months ago, we were just at 3 million and, that was in September. So
You remember the story of how you first came up with the idea?
it was not original. Billboards have been around forever, right? But I remember I was in Florida. I was going on a cruise with my mom and my family. And then right when I got off the car, the airplane, the bus, the hotel, the drive there, I saw billboards of this personal injury lawyer and I just couldn't get out. And then the radio, it was a jingle and it was the same people. And I was like, and by the time we came back from Miami, like I was singing this, I couldn't get rid of it. And I was like, I came back home to Sacramento. I was like, there's nothing here like that. At least not for like the personal injury space and let alone like a female.
Yeah.
Right. And then let alone an ethnic minority female. So I pondered it for almost a year before I actually started doing anything because it was kind of scary. Like, do I want to do it? Do I not? Is it going to be receptive? And then obviously putting a lot of money into it. And so finally I was like, just do it. Okay, I needed something kind of corny, cheesy, catchy that people can relate to. And then so one night my husband and I were like, if we're gonna do this, we got something that's gonna stick to people, And so he just blurted out, something wrong, call and Phoong. And we started laughing and we're like, no, you can't do that. And we're like, why can't we do that?
And Phoong. Phoong, is that a Vietnamese last name?
Okay, so there's a long story behind my last name. So I had people on Billboard, like people will call me just to say, it should be something, something Phoong. I'm like, no. So my family, my dad was born in Vietnam. My mom and dad met neighbors in Vietnam. So, but my dad's dad, my grandpa, is from China. So he was born, so we're actually Chinese ethnic group that lived in Vietnam.
I see.
And so I was actually born here in America, in San Jose. The last name is really Phoong. That's why something wrong, call Ann Phoong. But when my parents came to America, they didn't know a word of English. And so they knew that their last name was Phoong. So they tell them Phoong. So when the people were writing it down, they didn't know one O from two O's, right? So that's how Phoong became Phoong, and it's what we use the whole time, and I never wanted to change it.
Yeah.
So people would always ask me isn't it Phoong? And I'm like, yes, but I go by Phoong.
Well, it's too late to change it now.
I know, I can't.
The whole company is based on the last name, so
Not gonna change it.
do you feel like that have any impact on your career or how you help people back? I know that you have that thing for the holiday, you're trying to give back to the people. Do you think that have anything related to your background growing up?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So like a lot of immigrants, when you come to America, you come with nothing.
Yeah.
Like they say, just the clothes on their back. When we were kids, like Christmas, celebrating holidays, there was no Christmas. We didn't get gifts. It wasn't until we got older and we started, my siblings and I were a little envious of the tradition because we're like, hey, how come we don't get gifts? But it was never part of what we grew up. As we got older, my older brother and sister, we started implementing those traditions on our own.
Right.
Like not because of my mom and dad. So we'd buy our own Christmas tree and bought each other little small presents.
I would love to be in your family.
I would love you to come.
I guarantee you, 100% I will get a gift every single year.
Oh yeah. It's all about love though, So back to your question about did the upbringing have to do with it? Absolutely, because I think coming from nothing and then making something out of nothing and building a career and a foundation, and then I know I'm not the only one, but seeing our parents work so hard and struggle and having the opportunity to come to America and make a dream and make a life out of ourselves. I know a lot of times I ask myself well, what did my parents sacrifice to come here? And am I doing something to make them proud and to kind of, they were trying to build a different legacy for us. And am I doing that? What kind of legacy am I building for our family name and our family for years to come to be remembered?
Can I tell you a fun fact?
Yeah.
According to the American Bar Association, as of 2023, only about 37% of attorneys in the U.S. are women. As a woman who's thriving in a male-dominated field, how do you stay ahead?
Wow, that's a really good question too, because there's times when I've even through the advertising, when we first started doing the billboards and TV and everything, I had asked myself, well, am I going to be received? Yeah. Do people want a woman lawyer? Do they want a minority?
Why not?
And that exactly, why not? But there was always just kind of that persona when you see on TV, it was like a powerful man on TV. That's what you would normally see. I mean, and there were times when I would go up to court and it's against a man, and I'm always like, dear, we passed the same bar, we have the same education, and I'm gonna beat your ass. Sorry, but is there some type of what I think like the public has seen too, and that's why we wanted to break that. That's what the whole advertising was all about, was to show the world and the public, at least in our area, in our community, that there's a different type of representation.
Right. As a business owner, what would you say is your proudest moment so far?
Honestly, I think just having an amazing team. Like we did a special thing for Stockton foster kids, and we had them give us their wish list. Yeah. So we each, my staff each sponsored a child and got specifically what they wanted for their wish list. I was so proud that's I didn't ask them to do it. I said, hey, we're gonna do this. If anyone wants to be a part of it, join us. And so a whole slew, almost everybody in the office. And so for me, I'm so proud because they believe sweet. It is very sweet. Yeah. And they have a big heart. And so I'm very proud of the team that we built. So that's definitely no specific moment, just realizing and recognizing that none of this could be possible without the team that I have.
So that's the up, right?
Yeah.
What about the down? What are those moments you'll be like, okay, this might be it. I might quit here.
Oh man. I don't think I ever thought about quitting. There was definitely down moments where I was like, I don't want to, am I going to keep doing this? It's so funny because as an attorney, it's a different kind of down than as a business, running a business.
How so?
You can be a great attorney and not know how to run a business.
I see.
You can have a great business and not be a great attorney. You think they're one and the same. Obviously, I'm an attorney who owns her own firm, but there's days where I have to think about logistics and not so much about doing attorney things, right? And so other days I'm doing attorney things and not thinking about business stuff. So it's a hard balance. So one of the most devastating things as an attorney, as a low, is losing a case, losing a trial. And I remember in the very first trial that I ever did, I lost. And I always remember that day. It was gut-wrenching for my client. It was gut-wrenching for me. I remember crying and feeling like, okay, maybe I'm not a good attorney. Yeah. I couldn't do justice for my client, and they trusted me. And so you carry that with you, and like as much as we always want to win, you don't. That's the reality of it. Any lawyer knows you don't win all your cases. You just don't. But I had to look myself in the mirror and say the things that, reaffirm until I believed it. Okay, you're a good lawyer, and you worked your butt off. You did the best you could. It wasn't the result that you wanted, but darn, you tried. If the case was built on who tried the most and hardest, I would have won, right? Yeah. But lots of times, and that's why I say when you do have setbacks, you have to pick yourself back up. And when I say, to the young, successful people out there or young people who have dreams, really, you're going to have these setbacks. And if you want it bad enough, it's temporary. And sometimes things happen for a reason. Maybe you change your mind. Maybe you don't want to be a lawyer, or maybe you don't want to be a designer, or whatever it is. Maybe things happen for a reason. You choose something else. I didn't start off wanting to be a personal injury lawyer. When I went to law school, that was not my plan.
What was your plan?
My plan was to be a public defender.
Oh.
And I worked in a public defender's office for 6 years while I went to law school. So I wanted to be a criminal defense lawyer. It so happened that I got in a car accident on my last year of law school.
What?
Someone rear-ended me, and I got hurt.
That's a sign.
It is, right? Isn't it weird? And I was getting ready to take the bar, and I had this back injury. I was going to the chiropractor, and the adjuster kept bugging me and kept saying, hey, let's settle your case. But I was like, I have a lot going on. I'm a law student. So that's kind of how, personal injury came as something I wanted to pursue. I had that background experience and it felt unjust. Like what happened to me, I know it's a greater scale all over happening, but like for me, that little thing that happened to me, it made me feel like as long as I'm helping people from going from a criminal defense lawyer, I wanted to be an advocate, right? Speak up for people who couldn't speak up for themselves.
Yeah.
And so that's why in personal injury, I felt that same notion of representing people and being a voice, because you have injured people who are being taken advantage of by insurance companies, and it wasn't right. So it made me feel good to go into a different area of law that did this exact same thing, stick up for people's rights.
I believe you picked the right one. You know why?
Why?
Another fun fact with how every single year in the US, there are over 6 million car crash. For someone who never been in a car accident before, what are like the first step that they should take to protect themselves legally?
Yeah, definitely. If you are, so there's a lot of accidents, small, big, large, fatal. I mean, if you're in pain and you feel anything, definitely go to seek medical attention. That's definitely, a lot of people I think, they think because, I don't have a broken rib or I'm not bleeding, they put it off, and lots of times that can harm them in the long run. And so the big thing is that some people, for that, the pain never goes away or becomes worse. Then they need a back surgery, then they need epidural injections. There's people out there just wanting to get better, but then they don't know how to too. And the system isn't set up for them to kind of know, especially working around getting treatment with insurance companies and their doctors and providers. It's not like, you say, hey, I want an MRI, something's wrong with my back. You can't just get one because you say you want one.
You're right.
There's so many things you have to do, right? So it's difficult to navigate. So my thing is always, if you're injured in an accident, make sure you seek medical attention, and definitely don't settle anything if you're still hurt. Make the insurance company will pressure you, and they will continue like they did to me, and they'll try to be your friend. That's what they do though, right? They try to befriend you so that they can give you a quick $1,000 or here's $1,500, let's settle your case. Meanwhile, you're still having back pain. You're telling them you have back pain, but they don't care.
Right.
Worst case you can imagine, right? Someone who dies, or people who are paraplegics, people who get amputated, people who get their necks broke. Like there's different levels of severity. And then you have people who have whiplash. You have people who don't have such severe injuries, but they're still hurt for months and months. They need injections. So there's different levels. And so we kind of handle everything. And I always tell people, you don't know where you're going to be as far as the severity level. You might start off being whiplash, but in 6 months or 9 months or a year, if the pain doesn't go away, it's more severe. We have a lot of our clients that end up having surgeries are people who walked away in the car. It didn't look like it was that bad, but they still suffer severe injuries.
Should do whatever it takes to protect yourself first,
Absolutely.
like health-wise.
Absolutely. And I know that a lot of people feel like, well, like I said, I don't have anything broken, so I'm okay. So they push it off.
Right.
When you push it off months and months, so let's say you get in a car accident in January and your back's hurting, but it's not that bad where, you're managing. It's maybe a 5 or 6 out of 10. It bothers you, but you're busy, you work, you go to school, where you're going to find time to go see a doctor. And then in March, April, you're finding like, you know what, it's not going away, something might be wrong. And then you don't see a doctor. So those 3-4 months that you don't see a doctor, it's called a gap in treatment. And insurance companies love to say, you're not injured from my accident or the accident we were in, because if you were, why are you going to the doctor 12, 16 weeks later, 3-4 months later? You would have went to the doctor immediately within the first few days. That's one of the number one defenses that the insurance companies say. And so getting that medical treatment, getting it documented is very important from the beginning. But, when you think about it, especially with people who work, I mean, most of us work and we go to school, and going to the doctors is almost like a hassle, right? And that's what the hard part is, to get people to understand that if you don't go to the doctors, you don't have an injury in the eyes of the insurance company. You could be very well hurt for all these months, and if you've never seen a doctor, you're not hurt. They're not going to pay you. You're not going to get a settlement. So that's why it's so important to seek medical treatment if you're injured.
First thing first, right away.
First thing first.
Can I get your reaction to this picture?
Sure. Uh-oh.
It's funny though.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. So this year we actually did a contest because every year I get photos. People would send me photos. Yeah, people would send me photos of them or their friends dressing up as me. And I thought, let's just make it fun. Like, I don't think anyone's going to dress up me as me, like, for a contest, you know?
Yeah.
But if they already are, might as well get them. Oh my goodness. Did you see?
I saw.
It was so fun and I loved it.
When was like the first time that you put the Billboard up? How long ago was that?
2016.
2016. So that's been 8 years.
Yeah.
In the span of 8 years, now you have people just start dressing up as you for Halloween.
My gosh, it's crazy.
You brag about it?
No, it's not bragging. It's just, it's so weird because, like I said, when I first started out to be an attorney, you know, no way in vision did I think I'd build a firm like this. And some people laugh at it like it's a joke, right? But then there's so many people that dress up to me, like legitimately looking up to me, you know, and I get their messages, you know, I get their inspiring notes. I get like little young girls, you know. So when we first started advertising in 2016, I got so many calls from females and then young teenagers too, and their moms just saying, hey, Miss Phoong, we're not in an accident. We just want you to know thank you for putting yourself out there. Because my little daughter or my little girl looks just like you, and now she's dreaming to be something big, and you putting yourself out there has, like, in, you know, some way made it seem like it's possible.
Another fun fact. I'm 19. It's probably how do I put this? I'm 19. I want a lot of things. I want success. You know.
I didn't know you were 19. That's amazing.
I'm very ambitious. If you was in my shoe, what would you do? What would be your top priority?
I think what you're doing right now is amazing. So that's amazing. And like, I can't believe you're only 19, because at 19, a lot of people are still just, you're young, you're just figuring it out. You're not doing much. You're just kind of like, it's in your head. Mm-hmm. And what you're doing is action. So doing this, getting me to agree to come talk to you, like, that to me is amazing, and it's ambition. You were daring enough to say, hey, I'm just gonna message Ann Phoong and ask her if I can interview her. That's big and it's bold, right? Because what's the worst that can happen? I could say no,
You
right?
won't respond to me.
I respond or I ignore you.
Yeah.
And or I just say no. So my thing, the biggest advice is go for it, do it, right? Don't be afraid of the what ifs, right? Those will keep you from taking action. What if this, what if she says that, or what if I can, or what if they don't do this? That will stop you from actually making any achievements and making steps towards your goal, right? So you keep doing you, keep being bold, and it's always like, you know what, ask for forgiveness later, you know? Be bold and do it, and then later on you're like, whoops, you know? That's kind of like how I've done everything. I've just kind of gone by my intuition.
Yeah.
A lot of things aren't planned. I didn't have this plan to expand to Southern California and Nevada. None of that was in my vision. It was step by step. And so I tell you, you know, you young people out there that, you know, it's not about going from 0 to 100. You know, you take it step by step. You do things like this, right? And as long as you have a vision, though, you do have to have an end goal. You do have to have what do I really want from this, right? And take those little steps. It's hard to take a big leap and go from 0 to 100, but it's easy when you break it down and just step by step. And if you work hard, I always believe that I'm not the smartest person, but I'm one of the hardest people you'll ever meet. So I think hard work has a lot to do with it. So keep working hard and keep your vision clear, and make sure that obviously whatever it is you want to do and be, you've got to back it up by having the heart. Because if you're not like 100% sold on yourself, on what do you want to do, what do you want to become, the effort you put in, the first second you get a challenge and it'll become too hard, yep. Well, I guess I didn't want it bad enough.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Because if you want it, you're going to pick your butt up and you're going to try again. So it has to be rooted with something you absolutely know is meant for you to do and believe in.
Right.
Otherwise, you're going to just stumble and fail and just move on to the next thing.
Well, thanks for chatting with me.
Thank you so much.
And for everyone who's watching, just remember, something wrong?
Call Ann Phoong.
Cut.